Anybody here can get it. Treat the game like a scrimmage now. Master B with the flow. I swear nigga got no limits now. I've been ballin' for a minute. Whole team full of winners. Anybody here can get it. You tuned into the realest now. Anybody here can get it. Treat the game like a scrimmage now. Master B with the flow. I swear nigga got no limits now. I've been ballin' for a minute. Whole team full of winners.
Everyone, welcome to Off the Platform episode. What are we up to?
Five.
Episode 5 episodes. Hey, that's an achievement into itself. Hey, didn't think we'd get past one. So, I'm your host, Greg. I'm joined today by the mighty Jackson Hinch and Geordie Shields. How are you, boys?
How we doing, mate? Good. All right.
Awesome. Guys, we're not going to do any guests today, so this one is just a bit of a yarn with the three of us. Hamish might jump on later. He'll probably kill the Zoom call, but that's okay. We'll start again. But this one, we're going to have a yarn about this time. We're going to have a yarn about getting into powerlifting. All right, so we're going to literally take it back to the very beginning for all of us, and anyone who's listening right now, thinking these guys seem to be having a good time. What's this powerlifting gig all about, and how do I get into it? So, I don't know. Let's start with you, Jackson. What's your story, man? How did you first get into powerlifting? And looking back now, what would be your advice for somebody who's looking at starting out?
Yeah, to be fair, I sort of just fell into it. I've been lifting a couple of years. And slowly
the 45-minute intro here.
No, here we go.
I was just thinking that,
No, I promise. Okay, put a timer on me. Give me some beepers, some warning buzzers.
Yeah, I'm just going to say time out when you get to the. You're at the gym. Great. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So I was at the gym lifting for a couple of years. Like still pretty small, but got a wee bit of muscle. Just managed to keep getting stronger. It was nothing special, but for like a commercial gym, I was benching like 110 or something when I was like 17, which back then, that's a long time ago now. Well, not too long, but, and I was like 70 kilos. So like at that stage, it was like reasonably strong.
Yeah.
And some guy in the gym just said to me, "Hey, have you thought about like competing in this?" And I was like, "I didn't know you could." I was playing like badminton and volleyball and just like, random sports. And then he was like, "Oh no, you can actually use this as a sport." And I was like, "Oh, all right, let's, talk to me," sort of thing. And then there we are. I got hooked up with the guys over here in Christchurch at Eastside, and then did my first comp, I think 4 months later.
Awesome. So for anyone listening to the podcast right now who's thinking, I want to get stuck into powerlifting, what would you tell them?
Just do it. Stop thinking about it. Just do it.
Do it, eh?
There's so many comps around, and honestly, if I would have a few dollars, but not many, if I had $1 for every time that someone said, I want to wait till I get stronger to enter. Just do it. You don't know where you're at. And the thing is that the people that are competing, usually 99% of the time, going to get stronger faster because they're setting goals and then they're actually competing with each other. So then you're going to get left behind again, and you're not going to be strong enough to compete as such.
Geordie, what do you think about that? What do you think about that statement? I need to get stronger first. You've probably heard it a few times, so.
I've been so long in strength sports. I just know that time under bar makes you strong. And, my motivation for taking up powerlifting was to have something to do in the off season of bodybuilding. So, you want to grow, you want to train a bit heavier. You don't want to worry about what you're eating or keeping yourself lean. So, a key attraction for me personally was just being able to set some goals and work towards them in the off season and sort of reinforce that you're actually moving forward. Because sometimes in bodybuilding, you're so focused on what you're eating and keeping yourself lean and overtraining that you're basically, you're kind of lost a little bit when you come out of that, comp or whatever it is. Like at the moment, obviously, I'm not competing at the moment. And I still need to be goal focused to keep myself motivated to train. So for me, it was more about creating a path in the off season, keep myself strong. Because I prefer to train heavy. It's just what I like doing. And as Jackson says, you can get recognition for it. And I'm pretty sure there's, you go into any major gym with a reasonable amount of, that type of training culture, you're going to find a few freaks in there doing some amazing bench.
Yeah. So on that, you guys think specialized gym or commercial gym or train from home? What would you recommend, Dave, for a first timer?
It's personally, I always think that you should find training environment's huge. Find the right place, the right people, the better equipment. Obviously back in the day, like we we always joke at the gym, like, you know, when I first turned up at the gym, I was only allowed to load the bars for 6 months. You know, like, just you earn your stripes and you just do it when you're in the right people. If you're the big, but then, you know, if you're the big fish in a small pond, you're only going to grow so much. So I think the people you train around and being in the right environment definitely has a big impact. And especially probably to push you into those environments as well to actually train and to then compete. You know, if you're constantly sitting there at a commercial gym, you're not gonna. Why would you go and compete? You're the big fish already where you are.
What about for those who, I mean, let's face it, here in New Zealand, we don't have unlimited access to powerlifting gyms, and obviously, if you're in a rural area, it's you know, it's all but impossible. And even in the big cities, I mean, I'm fortunate. The gym I go to is powerlifter friendly, but there are plenty of gyms where, you know,
Troy Marshall's garage.
Troy Marshall's garage was friendly during lockdown. But I've been able to make powerlifting work in almost all the gyms I've worked in. Worked out at. Can you make it work in a commercial gym?
Of course, I would. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Geordie's gym isn't powerlifting focused, but he can still train there and make it work. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I think you know, people are the most important key to it. So I think, you know, when I bought this gym, when my wife and I bought it, we had the vision that we wouldn't get into hardcore bodybuilding or powerlifting. We knew that potentially there was an organic thing that was going to happen just purely because I was here. And yeah, I'm coaching a couple of female athletes at the moment who are doing extremely well. And you know, we've bought a few pieces of equipment that'll support the training. And but I think if you haven't got that, you know, that hardcore training culture gym, then at least find the right coach, because, you know, the path you take in your training, there's so much that you can learn from someone who's been there and done that. And I guess that's what I bring to this gym. You know, I've got a pretty clear way of, actually, I really enjoy training first year or novice in both bodybuilding and powerlifting. I really enjoy those people because they appreciate the information they're getting, and you often get some really big gains from them straight away, which is really cool.
Yeah. So you touched on something there about, you know, finding the right coach. Is Jackson and Geordie, in your opinion, is a coach absolutely important?
I would say, like, it's with the gym that I was saying, that's best case scenario. Obviously, you can make it work in a commercial gym, or you can make it work in your garage. Like, that's the thing with powerlifting. It's simple. It's a squat, a bench press, and a deadlift. You try and get stronger. Like, it's very, very simple. So you don't have to have the best kit. You don't have to, you know, I mean, these days we're treated. We get to train on specialty bars, and we get to train with calibrated plates and monos. And, you know, when I first started lifting, I was on a bench that I thought was going to collapse under me. The bar was already bent. You know, I didn't know if the plates actually weighed 20 kilos. You just lifted it and tried to do more next time. So I think from a coach perspective, obviously, if you know a good powerlifting coach or you have access to one, then definitely, I think you're much better to go in. Best case scenario is with a coach. You can make it work without, but definitely, I think, or even if it's not a coach, like, I mean, personally, I've only ever had one coach, and that was for 18 months with Thomas Lilly. But that's, I don't know what that's like a specific, like, that's labeling that as a coach. But before that, I've had bigger guys train with me as training partners. You know, I just walk in and be like, oh, actually, can I, like, what are you doing there? Why are you doing that? And just ask. So you have the bigger, more experienced lifters sort of take you under their wing instead. So it's not necessarily a coaching relationship, but it is.
I think too that there's varying levels that people will come in with an understanding of what training is about. And, you know, I can say that I've taken a lot of lessons from people around me and watched, but because I was a qualified, you know, personal trainer and I've been in the business for so long, it's easy for me to do my own periodization, do my own programs for strength. And then I would take advice from people around me or watch and learn, ask a lot of questions when I was at a competition. But if you're just starting out and you've got a good base and training, and you might be able to get through your first comp or so just to get that experience. And then along those lines, you'll start to meet people at those competitions, because powerlifting comps are quite a lot more interactive in some respects, especially I would say more than bodybuilding. There's a lot.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I always felt like I was in a more competitive sort of environment that was a little bit more, oh, well, actually, I'm not pumping up next to you because I'm about to get on stage. If you like, I was going to give something away, and that 5 minutes of them looking at me stealing his dumbbells, but you know what I mean? But at a powerlifting comp, often the guy that you are within 2 to 5 kilos of beating is the guy shouting the loudest from the sideline to make sure you get it across the line, So it's a very different culture in sport and powerlifting, and it's if you find the right people and put yourself in that environment, you just want to get there a little bit quicker. And if you can't find that straight away, reach out to people, because there's a lot of good people in the sport that will help.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely one of the big things for doing your first comp, as well as Geordie just mentioned. The networking at a powerlifting comp is huge. So if you are looking at powerlifting and saying, oh, I kind of want to do that, but you don't know anyone, well, you go and do the first comp, and then all of a sudden 40 other lifters and 10 coaches and and they all know you, and they're quite happy, and so you get to see your network grows like exponentially every comp you do.
Let's back it up a bit and just touch on the gym thing again. What should you be looking for, in your opinion, in a gym? Or what sort of equipment should a gym have to be an effective powerlifter?
Well, definitely do a squat rack and a bench.
Done and dusted, eh?
I mean, that's the thing with powerlifting. That's why I assume. I mean, we're all simple guys, really. I know. I mean, speak for myself, but it's cool. It's quantitative, so you can just set goals and say, right, I'm going to be 5 kilos stronger each comp or whatever. Yeah. You just need a squat rack, a bar, some plates, a bench. You're done.
And away you go. Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. So obviously the pinnacle would be if you had a powerlifting specific gym to go and train at around other powerlifters and powerlifting coaches, and the minimum is really just a squat, a bench press, and some weights.
No, I'm glad you guys said that's probably where I wanted to take it, was the fact that look, any gym will do, give or take.
Of course. Yep.
There's no.
When I was prepping for quite a few of my competitions, I would train at a commercial gym, and I would dominate the squat rack during my leg sessions for a good hour and a half, and everyone just kind of roll with it. Yeah. And
put your tent.
But then if I needed to do tests or things, then I had a decent setup at home that I had Leco plates and decent whip bar at home, so I could do my deadlifts at home if I wanted to. So like as you grow in the sport, I think you kind of do workarounds to make your time more efficient, because I was at the time working, so I had to travel quite a way and then get back home, and then to be ready for a training session, go to the gym, come back, organise the kids and stuff like that. So I always had a little set at home that I produced. Don't have it now though.
You own the whole gym now.
Yeah, exactly.
No, got no excuses now, mate.
Yeah.
Still can't train it the way I want.
That point about traveling, that's a good point to touch on. Does powerlifting lend itself to a certain type of lifestyle, or do you need to be in a certain line of work, or you can train anywhere. You can train anywhere, right?
You can do it. I mean, you sort of I guess we've been pretty gifted, but especially these days, we've got good gyms around. I mean, I obviously train at Body Core up in Auckland. There's Acton 3 and Decile 1, etc. There is good gyms around with good equipment nowadays. So people are spoiled for choice. They're popping up all the time. And so once they, and they happen, like when I was in the UK, I traveled an hour each way to go and train at the best gym I could. That was because I could make it work, because I was doing PT, so I could just work my schedule around it. But it's one of those things, if you want to be the best, you commit to it.
We should keep in mind, we've got a few international listeners now, so hey guys and girls, thanks for listening. How do you find a gym that's powerlifting friendly? I mean, where do they look online? Are there resources?
I mean, you're sort of, again, sport for choice these days with Instagram. Everyone tags their gym. So if you're, you can find a decent powerlifting gym within 2 clicks, really. You look at someone's squat video, you're like, oh, they're in the same city as me. What gym do they train at? Bang, there. It's all location tagged. So that's the easiest way, I would say, because you can actually see what equipment and stuff's there as well.
Yeah.
The great thing too is all you need is a pair of shorts and a pair of chucks and decent t-shirt, and away you go. You know, so
That's it. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Like there's no like the weight belt. Yeah, definitely something that you'd probably, if you're starting out, you'd need to look at, and so there's some personal equipment you're probably going to want to investigate and find something that fits for you. But yeah, I could, I stopped wearing a belt for deadlift training, so now I don't train with any of the wraps or belts anymore when I'm training at the moment, which is good. I'm pretty low maintenance.
So we've got people that are brand new to the sport. What kind of equipment can you get? You guys go through the equipment that you could potentially get as a powerlifter and the benefit of having each of it.
Are you talking like what you wear in person?
Oh, look, do you need you mentioned chucks? I know chucks are a powerlifting staple, but why? Why are they great?
Just flat on your feet. So when you squat or when you deadlift, you want to push off on your heel. And when a lot of novice people that I coach typically push off on the front of their feet, which if you're leaning forward on the bar or your shoulders in front of the bar when you're pulling it up, it's going to be a little bit more on your back when you'll be slightly out of alignment. So I like to train people just in chucks. We used to talk about barefoot trainers, but chucks are flat, so you're going to your feet are wedged in the concrete. Yeah. For deadlifting, you're definitely going to want some knee-high socks. Just to protect your shins, to make sure the bar doesn't grind any meat off the front of your legs. And just like I say, a pair of shorts. I would typically train in some compression shorts, just because it helped me sort of feel like everything was tight. You know what I mean? It just helped me more psychologically than anything. I don't think it helped with recovery at all. And a t-shirt and lots of chalk. And I guess the chalk always comes into, if you go into an unfamiliar gym, just always ask at the front desk if you can use your chalk, because there's some gyms that are not into that at all. Like interesting that I've got everything that I need here to coach powerlifters, but none of them use chalk except for me. So,
is that right?
Yeah, but I kind of, if we saw a lot of it, I'd just make them available for everyone to use, as long as they clean up after themselves.
Yeah.
Would you ever provide chalk, Geordie?
Yeah, but I think you encourage it if you do that that way. But I do. I keep chalk in the office here, and if anyone needs it,
nice.
Pass it on. So.
I think there's a right way and a wrong way using chalk. I don't personally see a need to spread the entire floor full of chalk. It's just meant to go in your damn hands or parts of your body. You don't need to
clean up after yourself. Same as putting your weights away.
Yeah,
exactly. You don't need to be a prick about it.
Tell you what, there's a guy on the weekend who put chalk on his face. I thought that was interesting.
On his face, or did he slap himself?
No, he slapped him. He put chalk on his hands and he slapped his face.
Yeah,
and obviously it's a little psychological thing for him.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before, but he looked like a mime, when he came on.
I've seen that. I've seen that an IPF lifter that did that before a deadlift. It was his last lift. I can't remember who it was, but he's a big lad, and he chalked his hands and he went up and he just went down like that, and it looked like the guy looked like William Wallace had a Braveheart, but Tongan, this enormous Tongan boy, and it just looked really cool.
Yeah. No, I'd never seen that before, but definitely right way and a wrong way using chalk.
Bit of theatre on your last attempt at deadlift is all good,
Exactly.
You've got to make it a spectator sport, because it's not really.
Yeah. I already talked to you guys about this, but I reffed a comp yesterday, and did the third attempt deadlifts had a smoke machine and laser.
Nice.
Laser lights came on, and obviously So everyone felt like a rock star.
Can we get that? I need that. I'm going to get that at comps, because then people won't be able to see if my knees are soft or not.
Oh, you need a big smoke machine, Matt. Yeah. Maybe the ref's got to see you as well. Yeah. It's just going to be like
coming back to gear. So once you get the basics right, you might want to look at like a wedge shoe. I've trained in bike, so I squatted in flats, and then I switched to a wedge, and I played around with the bar, trying to get a low bar on my shoulders. And it's quite difficult to be able to maintain that sort of flexibility, because my shoulders were so thick. But wedge shoes, you start to get all these nice things that you can add into your training, and it helped me probably get a little bit more depth having a wedge under my feet. And from a belt perspective, I went through 2 standard sort of fork buckle belt, snapped in both, and out of frustration, I ended up, I was sponsored anyway, so Kiwi Strength supplied my leather belt, and it lasted me the whole time I was training, pretty much from when he gave it to me. It was 4 years. And interestingly, I passed it on to Michael Kingsnorth, who's a pro bodybuilder. It's like all my legacy items I was never going to use again because I tore my legs off. So I gave Mike my leather belt, and he actually managed to snap it. And
wow.
So there you go. I was outdone, but he's just got a tremendous squat. So I'm kind of, my ego's not as
bruised.
It's going to have to be a good squat to snap a lever belt, though. Surely. Yeah. Now, in terms of belts, so Jackson, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, personally, like equipment-wise, it's very individual. Obviously with like squatting shoes. I've squatted in the same pair of chucks at every comp for the last 6 years.
Same pair?
Exact same pair. I get them out when I get close to comp because they're the old school ones. They got the wide toe box, and obviously I've worn them in, so the sole is like super thin and real hard. So
and
I just get them out close to comp. And now they're the lucky chucks. So
you can't not wear them.
Stick around now. But I've tried squat shoes as well with a heel. For me, it's horrendous. It throws me around too much. It's very individual, I think, anatomically for who needs squat shoes and who doesn't. Some people are better with it. It's just basically a crux for bad ankle flexibility.
Yeah.
Or if your femurs are super long. So it sort of depends on your body mechanics on whether you'll do better with squat shoes or not, and also your bar position. But so that's something that people need to look at. But again, that's another reason why a decent coach or training with a decent lifter they can tell you those sorts of things. Otherwise, you're just sort of pushing shit uphill. But then, belt wise, I've gone through a few prong belts. I splashed out and bought a Pioneer belt, got it like fully customized and stuff. So that was a pretty penny, but it's easily the best belt I've ever owned. I'll probably have it for. I'm really annoyed though because I've been dieting and I'm down to the last notch, and so it's not great. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, stop dieting. Hello. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. It is. It's like a sign.
Yeah. Might do a few more ab workouts, mate. Build those abs back up.
There's heaps of equipment you can add. Like, obviously, you start. Probably the first thing most people would get would be a belt. Next thing would probably be like wrist wraps, and then maybe some like knee sleeves. And then you go up through knee wraps, and then obviously into fully equipped, which squat suit, bench shirt, etc., etc. But
what do you guys think about wrist wraps? Because I was beholden to them for years, and I haven't worn them for about a couple of years. And then I got a pair from you, Geordie, the other day, and I tried them out the other day. And they just felt like quite cumbersome. I'm not familiar with wrist wraps anymore.
Most people I see, to be honest, because wrist wrap is designed to keep your wrists straight, so that the bar sits right atop your hand above, where your wrist is, and so you don't get that possible movement forward or anything like that. When I see people wrap, commonly they just wrap them around their wrist and are tight, and all that's doing is giving you a bit more grip. No, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're not wrapping across the base of your palm on either side, so that your hand's like that, then it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing anyway. So, but from a wrist wrap standpoint, I typically I've had a reconstruction done on that hand before, so sometimes it would help me. But I found the stronger my hands got just through deadlifting, I could just do away with them. But one of the first lessons, you might say, of benching and the powerlifting way for me was to start incorporating my thumb, because I would always do a suicide bench, and I had less trouble with my shoulders. Interesting, benching suicide as well. So when I ended my first,
you force less rotation on your shoulder without your thumb.
Yeah. So by adding the thumb in, there's just so many other things that happen in that movement, because the bar's obviously pushing into the hand like that. So it's activating a lot of muscle in your forearm, and it just changes the way you bench. And it took a little while for me to get used to doing that. So I found initially the wrist wrap good, and then I could just do away with it, almost like I could relax my thumb enough that I was just gripping it with the fingers basically, and it made it kind of similar, if you know what I mean. So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Jackson, belt wise, around your waist or around your mid? Under your rib cage? Where do you prefer it?
Again, it's again individual. I think.
Yeah.
Like for me, I have two different spots. I have my I put it the same spot for squat and bench. So basically, it's right over my belly button, and then I actually have it. The bottom of my belt is just above my belly button when I deadlift. So it's a bit higher up and over my sort of upper abs instead of down lower.
That's where you wear your pants normally anyway, isn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, I've got to make my ass look good somehow, isn't it? But yeah, so yeah, again, it's, I mean, for say belt and wrist straps, I would class them as say supportive equipment because they don't actually add kilos to your lift in theory. They're not adding any extra energy to the lift. Whereas like a knee wrap or something, I would count as like you know, they're elastic, so they're actually adding kilos to your lift. So when someone asks me when should I get a belt or when should I get wrist straps, there's no right or wrong answer because it's purely supportive. You're not going to take away from your body for using them, in my opinion.
Geordie, what are your thoughts on that? Necessary or?
I'm like, I was just about to say the only variation from that type of equipment would be a knee wrap because that's quite a technical piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And you can get different grades of it, and you can wrap different ways, and you get a different
effect.
edge. Yeah. So it like it's not one size fits all for a wrap, but it could be for a wrist wrap, if you know what I mean. So you either like it or you don't. I've never dropped a bar off the front of my palm, even when I did a suicide. But I've seen people do it in comp, and that was enough for me to go, oh, actually, yeah, maybe I should use my thumb. So it's I think a belt is critical. Get the right belt, get one that fits good. The thing I liked about a leather belt is I just put it on from day one and it fit perfectly.
That's it. Yeah, you're in. Yeah.
I've seen some horrendous belts that are the little neoprene ones, and they're bodybuilder belts. They're not powerlifting belts. They're not great at all. So
yeah. They some of those neoprene belts in my limited strongman experience are quite good for strongman because of the log and the stone and stuff. So you don't get your like stomach caught between the stone and the log and etc. When you're trying to lap a stone or when you're trying to clean the log up and you've got this big lever buckle in the way. So that's the only time I've ever used those neoprene belts. I'm quite comfortable for that actually. But
you put the lever on backwards though, couldn't you, in a strongman comp?
Dude, you've seen my shoulder flexibility. I can't reach that.
You can't even wipe your ass.
I can't even wipe my ass, man. I have to have a shower.
It's good to use the hose.
But, I mean, wrist strap wise, same as what Geordie said. Most people wrap way too low. Unless it's over the joint, it's not going to do anything. I mean, usually, most people, the bar should sit. I mean, for the people that are just listening, they're not going to be able to see this, but the bar should sit almost diagonally in your hand. It should sit across this meaty part here and then up into your thumb. So it's almost like a bulldog grip. So it actually does flex back that way. Yeah, it does flex back a wee bit. This sort of benching, like dead straight or like slightly forward, you're only then over top of one bone in your forearm instead of both if you cock it back. So that's the actual power position for benching. So you sort of, like Geordie said, he's got strong enough forearms. He's quite happy to do that without a wrap. But most people need some sort of support back behind the hand to keep that grip. Otherwise, they're just going to kink back, which is then they lose all their force production. So for me, a wrist strap is basically just taking the weakest joint in the chain and making it the strongest. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Bearing in mind, some powerlifting feds can be a bit fickle about the wrap touching the bar, so just keeping that in mind.
That's the same across every fed, isn't it? Basically, unless it's an invitational and they change the rules.
I'm not sure. Yeah, say so. Yeah.
I think every rule book says the wrap can't touch the bar, which is fair, but you just have to tuck it down.
And you got to pull the eye loop off as well. So
pull the thumb loop off.
No thumb loops. Yep. Okay, so that's I think we've covered gear. I guess the general consensus is it's not 100% necessary.
No.
And literally you can just start with a good pair of shoes or bare feet in some cases, with some of those lifts, which is awesome. So that makes the entry part into powerlifting pretty simple. And obviously any gym will do, home garage, whatever, you can get started that way. Just coming back to coaches a bit. Now, obviously we've got, there's coaches in every country. And then there are some, superstar coaches that are on a line. Would you guys go? Would you guys recommend going straight online and finding yourself a superstar coach when you're just starting out, or would you say that it benefits people starting out more if they go somewhere local and get that one-on-one treatment?
Nothing beats in-person coaching. Nothing. That you can be the best online coach in the world, but if you've got like a decent in-person coach, they'll be better. Typically, because you can see so much more. But there are some. I mean, personally, I do a fair bit of online stuff. That was how I first worked with Thomas as well. So I think if you're a good coach, you can do online very well. But if you've got the same coach online or in person, obviously in person is going to be better.
Yeah.
So if you don't have access to any good coaches in person, you're better to go online, in my opinion. Because it's with videos and even like Zoom calls. Like I do, video feedback every week. We do Zoom calls. We do updated programming every week. So like that sort of stuff. You can basically be coaching someone almost in person.
Yep. Geordie?
In my opinion.
Yeah, I like my practical sessions when I do I did technical sessions last week, and just as an alternative to just completely normal cycle. So I like to use a program format very similar to 531 because I like to do novice athletes. So it's a great way to get people into the routine of cycle training. Not going hardcore in the gym every session and burning themselves out. It's a great way to teach people a little bit of periodization and in a 4-week cycle. It gets them into the routine of training as well. If you Jackson's kind of is 100% correct. An in-person coach is great, and definitely depending on how qualified they are. And I don't mean qualified necessarily in the textbook, but hopefully they've had a bit of skin in the game. If you were wanting to learn golf, you wouldn't go to Mike Tyson necessarily, would you? You'd go see Tiger Woods if you had the choice between the two, wouldn't you? So it's always good to find someone that's had some time on the platform. And hopefully they've been successful and they've learned the basics. I say that I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone, but I've heard of coaches coaching for weight drops for novice athletes, not even qualifying for titles or records, or that stuff kind of frustrates me because all they're doing is they're blunting the initial potential that person has. And in your first year at competition or first 2 years of competition, just make it easy as possible. Don't put as much pressure on yourself to look over the fence what all the experienced athletes are necessarily doing. Just have some fun. And that's what grounds you in a sport. You've got plenty of time to grind your way through the ranks, and where you might find yourself up for a world record that requires you to be in a weight grade that's 2 or 3 kilos lighter than you are in your training. And it's that to me is really valuable. If I've got an athlete training with Gay Hale. She competed in the IPLs last year. We did a provincial event. She's 65 years old. And she joined the gym and she saw my poster on the wall and decided that she wanted to be a powerlifter. She had done no lifting prior to that. She played badminton.
Nice.
And great sport.
So I said to Gay, I said to her, look, I'll train you. If she'd only been at the gym for 2 weeks, I said, look, I'll train you. If you can do exactly what I put on paper, and I'll train you, I'll do 1 session a week with you. If you can learn the lifts and the calls over 4 weeks, you can prove to me that you can do them convincingly, then I'll agree to train you for competition. Nice. And then 16 weeks later, she competed. And she didn't just compete, she did a 230 total, and which will be an international standard, so she qualified for World straight away.
Nice.
And so that's what I mean, everyone's, from a coaching standpoint, you've got to be measured in your approach, and you're not always going to get those kind of stories. And but I think it's really, really important to make sure that whoever you're going to take coaching and advice from, that you do a little bit of vetting in terms of ensuring that they actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So on that, what do you guys think? So I've just done a novice comp, first powerlifting event. Can I be a coach?
I was just going to carry on from what Geordie said. When you're looking for a coach online, don't look at how many followers they have or how strong they are. I mean, otherwise, like we say, like Tiger Woods would be the best golf coach in the world, but he's not.
Yeah.
Or Richie McCaw would be the best rugby coach, but he's not. He owns a helicopter business. You know, like the best athletes aren't the best coaches. So you need to look for people. I mean, you want someone who's had powerlifting experience, definitely. You don't want someone who's just sitting behind a desk, but you need someone who.
Greg, you made the point.
I thought he was saying it was like Greg.
Well, Greg, what are you talking about? Yeah. I would have done one call.
Greg, you made the point at the start of this topic that, do you go for the superstar coach straight away from a novice? And I think if you've got that budget, definitely do it. And only because you know that if they're training the top end of athletes, you're going to learn a lot. Do you know what I mean? You'll get a huge amount of benefit from it. And that's, that's, I think if your budget's there, then just do it. Like I don't believe that if that person is held in high regard, that they're going to rip anyone off, especially, they're just going to add value. So, But
so what, you talk about budget,
be more cautious at the base level.
Yeah. What's the range? What's ballpark? What are people looking at when they're looking at coaching in terms of expenses?
It depends who you're looking at. I mean,
yeah, man.
Well, you guys are pretty cheap, eh? So
I was going to say I've
what's the range?
If you look at Orib, Aussie strength coach, I've heard like for him, if you want to have him for an hour, it's $400.
Wow. Okay.
But I mean that's what his time's worth for him because he can make more doing seminars and developing his online programs that give him constant income.
Yeah.
But so I mean that's obviously the upper end, but like there's no limit really. I think for most online, if you're talking online, decent coaches, you're probably looking from $40 to $100 a week.
Yep.
Somewhere in there.
Which is,
and that would vary depending on that's with actual interaction. That's not just a one-off program.
Yeah. So there's New Zealand dollars for our
one-on-one for a qualified coach. I would say qualified, but yeah, one-on-one in a gym is start anywhere from $90 up now.
I mean, that's it. Yeah, in person. Yeah, in person, definitely. Yeah, in person, I would say you're probably looking at the upper end of that. But yeah. Yep.
Online coaches, ballpark.
Yeah. Sorry, no, that was what I was saying. Online coach, I would say anywhere from $40 to $100 a week for an online powerlifting coach.
Okay.
Potentially up to like $150 if they're giving you a lot of interaction. If you can send in your videos whenever you want, and if they'll answer your questions every day, and et cetera, whereas most of them it's a fixed check-in day or a fixed check-in time, and et cetera. Whereas in person, man, I mean in person, you'd be looking at $80, $90, $100 up.
Yeah,
it's different depending on location, but yeah.
I remember when I was bodybuilding, I was looking at some international coaches, and it was between $2,000 and $5,000 for US.
Oh, bodybuilding coaching's fucking another level, man.
That's the whole process, though, isn't it, Greg? That's start to finish.
That was unlimited access for at least a year for one of them. For a different.
I've seen a thing. I think it was someone with like Chris Aceto or someone like that, and it was like $5,000 for like a 6-month prep for a comp.
Yeah, Chris Aceto,
which is fair. I mean, that guy knows his stuff. He's proven himself. He's trained Mr. Olympias for So I mean, that's fair. He's earned his stripes. You look at the results a coach brings, not what they do themselves.
Yeah, so that's a really good point, Jackson. No, so when you're looking for a coach, what are you looking for? You're looking.
But then also don't. Yeah, but then also a coach, if they're training some genetic freak, well, I mean that genetic freak would probably progress if he just lifted a bar and ate some chicken. Exactly. So you've got to look at the coach who's taken a variety of people to a good level.
Okay, that's a really good point to make.
Not just he's nitpicked people and taken them as they've already been on the up.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the coach who takes the variety of people. He's taken, like Geordie says, like a 65-year-old woman who's never lifted a weight before in her life, a 20-year-old guy who's just come out of high school rugby, a 40-year-old guy who just wants to lose weight and ends up actually benching 200 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, look for someone who's taken a variety of body shapes and sizes and ages and stuff to a decent level. Don't just go for the guy who's coaching freaks.
Nice, good advice. All right, so we've covered a fair bits already. So in terms of nutrition, Geordie,
Whole episode on its own.
that's a whole episode
Yeah,
on its
man.
own. Yeah.
I don't know. I often, Taylor, it's interesting when you talk about the difference between what is a personal trainer and a coach. It's very different because I always see my role, especially in nutrition. I like to teach people how to program themselves. So after, I'll often charge up front. I've got a standardized fee for. I'm not a prep coach. I've done prep coach for novice athletes. I don't like to take experienced athletes because there's a little bit of ego in there that, to be honest with you, I just have no time for, So, although
I'll start looking for a new coach.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the way I do it is I like to first of all, I'll build a personalized program, and then I'll sit down and for at least an hour, I'll explain to them the science of the way that I program, because there's not any one routine way. Like, you can program nutrition in many different ways and still get a good result. It doesn't mean that they're the right ways to do it or the wrong ways necessarily, but there are some very horrendous wrong ways to do it. But I've got a system that I've used for 25 years and it's evolved. I've tried many different diet plans myself. I've used myself as the guinea pig, my wife, many of my friends, and Greg, you'll be one of my guinea pigs at some point. We've got some stories here as well. But
I lost close to 40 kilos under you. Yeah, that was an experience. Yeah.
And another funny story, he stole my last peanut butter chocolate egg while I was on stage posing at the Manukau Chance one time.
I'll never forget that moment. Yeah.
I've got a guilty photo of him sitting in the corner with my egg in his hand.
And he was loving it.
I'll tell you what, man, when you come to the day, chocolate is just like the god's nectar, eh?
They were in the best tasting chocolate egg you've ever had.
So exactly. His coach goes out on stage and he steals his egg from us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I couldn't have him winning, so.
Yeah.
So I kind of like my clients to, I always say to them, look, I'll charge what I think it'll cost to train you to do your own programming. These are the 80% of people that come in that just want, weight control or maintenance. So without getting into the detail, I just a standard consult, I charge $175 at the moment plus just, and for full conditioning, if I get someone that comes to me, and I don't do them very often because I actually don't like conditioning people for bodybuilding. It's very involved. I get quite emotionally involved in the athletes that I train. So when they're on stage, I'm as nervous as they are.
Yeah.
And because it's quite an emotional journey for a bodybuilder. For powerlifters, it's a little bit different, So, I'm adverse to teaching people how to do proper weight cut because I know how to do it and I know how to do it safely. But I just wouldn't show that technology to anyone because I wouldn't want it to be taken out again and then potentially put people at risk because the person that's going to program that won't fully understand it. So, when you're cutting water or loading water, which is the way I like to do it, then there's so many different things you've got to be able to be in control of and understand. And that's the benefit of experience, I guess, I bring to my athletes. So the people I train.
So you touched on weight before, right? Is it preferable to be a fat powerlifter or a skinny powerlifter?
Doesn't matter.
Don't matter.
What do you like, Greg?
Is fat strong?
Is that why you like powerlifting?
I would say fat. I would say fat strong, but that's because I'm weak now. Jackson, what do you think?
Oh, I mean, personally, if you're in a weight class sport, you need to maximize it with muscle. That's
yeah.
Let's break it down a little bit more, right? Because what weight are you at your strongest?
Me? About 120, 125.
And what weight would you like to be if you were a powerlifter?
120, 125.
And with abs, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the thing. I just do power, honestly, and it's going to sound like I'm a dickhead, but I honestly just do powerlifting because I'm okay at it. I didn't get into the gym to do powerlifting. I got into the gym to look jacked. If someone said to me, right, get to be 150 and but you're going to be, I tried it. I got to 133.
Wow,
you would be big. I was fat, man. I was disgusting.
You would have been big at 133.
I'd come up from tying my shoelaces and my face is red. I'd sweat just sitting there eating. It's it's not a life. It's not a lifestyle in my opinion. I prefer to be leaner because and muscle is much more functional than fat. There's definitely a point where your leverages and stuff change over. And
that's where I was going with it. That's where I was going. Yeah. So 120 odd, your leverages is just spot on, aren't they?
For me, it seems to be good. Yeah. If I get too much heavier, my deadlift goes down.
We can't reach the bar.
Yeah, well, exactly. You can't reach down to grab the bar. Your stance has to go too wide, so your range of motion's bigger.
You got to cheat and do sumo or something. Yeah.
Oh, mate, I can't do sumo. God. But not after the amount of shit I give it. But yeah, it's one of those things. You have to play with what your body wants. That's why, like Geordie was saying, don't do a weight cut if you're a beginner. Eat and get strong and see where your body ends up. I mean, if my body had ended up at 100, 105, 110, and that was my best weight, then you just do that, but
the
seems to just be where I've ended up.
Is to train within 2 kilos of your weight. If you're right on the cusp and you really want to be in the weight grade, train within 1 kilo or 2 kilos of that weight grade. Because then you're not going to have to,
That's. I was meaning when you don't know where your weight is going to be, like when you're first starting out, that first sort of 5 years where you've got no idea where you're going to end up the most competitive. Just eat and train. Don't worry about what you fucking weigh. No one cares.
It doesn't.
Honestly, no one cares. It's powerlifting. No one cares about powerlifting. But if you do, so get stronger and get better. Definitely, once you get to our sort of level, you should train within your weight range.
The biggest I've been under 5% body fat. So competing on stage, I weighed in at 115 the day before, so the weigh in the day before, and I was carving up. And I weighed myself the day after that comp, and I was 119 and a half, I think. I was still razor sharp. So there was 3 or 4 kilos. That kind of frustrates me from a bodybuilding perspective. You still got a bit of room to fill out, but from a powerlifting standpoint, I think I was my most efficient at 120, 121 kilos, and but I did do the Arnold's, and although I did keep my weight low, I cut to 131, and then I ate about 12,000 calories in chocolate malt glucosate and hash browns, basically all my way back to 141 on the day. And
nice.
That's big.
And like the one thing I will say about being heavier is I felt like I recovered a lot quicker. I could that 95% session in a few weeks leading up to that competition, I just felt like I was a Tonka truck, I was just going to walk through a fucking brick wall, and nothing was going to hold me back.
Arguably, were you recovering quicker because you were in a calorie surplus and because your leverages were better, so your nervous system
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So it's a game you have to play. You've got to decide what you know what I mean. That's why
the flip side to it is my energy levels were completely taxed, because even just sitting still or standing up, or going, like I walked across from the hotel on Flinders Street to the casino and to the actual event centre. And I was gassed. I had to sit down for 20 minutes and just catch my breath.
Yep, 100%. That's the game you play. I mean, honestly, but the thing, I mean, so obviously, when I said that, my best weight at the moment is like 123, say, just for argument's sake. If I could be 125 or 126, but with the same waist size, my deadlift would be better. If you know what I mean, like I'd be more muscular, so I'd be stronger. So because my leverages wouldn't change that much, so I would. So it's where you are in your lifting career. Like for me at the moment, 130 is too heavy. But at 5 years down the track, if I'm more muscular and I can be a leaner 130, then it might be where I'm at. It progresses with your powerlifting career as such. It's not really a career; it costs you money, but But yeah, you know what I mean? Like it develops as you get on. So for most people, I just lift and eat and see what happens, honestly, like 99% of people aren't going to, it's unfortunate, but 99% of people aren't going to end up good enough to have to worry about it. So just enjoy it and get stronger and get better. Be stronger than you were yesterday or last comp or whenever.
Exactly, yeah. Let's, Geordie, probably about 10 minutes back mentioned if you threw a few terms out like 5-3-1 and periodization. If I've never heard of powerlifting before, I'm going to go, what the fuck's that guy talking about? Take us through what is 5-3-1, what is periodization, what is a powerlifting program all about?
Have we got another 3 hours?
Just
High
high
Come
level.
on, Greg.
High
Greg,
level.
you're hitting us with these questions, man, and we've got like 10 minutes to answer them. They're like 3 hour long answers.
I know, but I think
if you're a novice watching this session,
think about him as a young guy or girl watching this. Yeah, young guy or girl watching this for the first time.
And what I liked about the 5-3-1 program format is you would train in reps of 5 for what was a lighter week, and then you'd go moderate, which is your last set is a set of 3, and or there's small sets of 3 within that training routine, and then you go for your heavy singles, and then you have a deload week where you you just basically warm up and go through your mobility and your functional side, and so you go through you'll set a tier, you go through a higher rep range, a moderate rep range, and then a low rep range, which is your heavy week. And so you're not continually smashing your CNS to the max on these single lifts. And this is, one thing that I've always said, and I've learned, you might say I've learned the hard way in some respects, but trying to peak to your very, very best in a 12-month period more than 2 or 3 times is quite an undertaking. And so when you talk about a periodized cycle, it could be 12 weeks or it could be 16 weeks or whatever it is between when you set your goal and when you actually turn up to the comp and you're ready to go on the platform. And the periodization is a breakdown of what is the function of the next 4 weeks of your training or the next 8 weeks of your training. Are you putting on muscle, or are you trying to get a little bit more bar fat? Is it more technical? Are you putting weight on? Are you trying to cut weight over a longer term, which is a more healthy way to do because you want to be in a more competitive division? There's so many variables that go in there, and where a good coach will have probably a mandated schedule they'll follow because it's easy for them to coach many people under the same format. So I've got templates that I use that are, again, I use 5-3-1, but if you look at there's Cube, Cube's what I would say is another variation. Another variation of what 5-3-1 was, but again, it just alternates the heavier week at the other end of that training cycle, so that you're not smashing your CNS every time.
Yeah. So Jackson, do I go to the gym every day, and do I just max out, and do I work my biceps?
If Hamish was here, he'd say yes.
Yes,
every day, max out, go as hard as you can, and he won't even this isn't even a joke for him. He will literally do that. That's his thing.
Yeah.
I always joke with him that me and him are the absolute polar opposite ends of the spectrum. For me, if I do a rep tomorrow, I'm thinking about what it's going to do to me in 8 months' time for my next comp. He's like, what do you got on that bar, bro? How many reps can I do with that? You know what I mean? Or what are you doing? Are you benching that? Cool, I'm going to curl it for 12 or whatever. So it's one of those things where you do have, like Geordie said, that you do have to have some sort of goal, because otherwise that's the difference between training and working out. Working out, you just go to the gym and you chuck stuff around and you do whatever. Training, you actually have a goal. So then you know what your actual training is for. I always say it to my clients and stuff, or anyone that asks me about powerlifting that's looking to get a coach or even doing their own programming. If you can't justify every exercise and every rep and every set that's in that program, it shouldn't be in there. You have to have the goal. And I ask people, I'm like, well, what are you training for? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, why are you asking me for a program?
Yeah.
I can't give you a program if you don't know what the fuck you're training for, or what are you dieting for? I'm just going to go in blind and shoot in the dark.
You're going to get some 1-star Google reviews, mate, for that kind of...
I've given up training general pop. I literally just do it. When people ask me what I do now, I just say powerlifting coaching, because it's all I do. I don't train gen pop anymore.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I just coach powerlifters, because then I'm like, right, I know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You're getting really fucking strong. Let's go. What I mean? Let's
go. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, for me, I agree with Geordie. Yeah, personally, I would say you can max out probably twice a year, properly, because every training cycle that you do needs to build on to the next one, which needs to build on to the next one, which then builds to a max. So you need to. The theory is that you do a conditioning, hypertrophy, and then some sort of strength, and then a peaking cycle. That's the 4. So when you go, say, from a conditioning cycle, you're building your work capacity, you're fixing injuries, you're rehabbing things. So then when you go into the hypertrophy cycle, your cardio and injuries and stuff aren't going to hold you back from being able to build muscle. Then you do the hypertrophy cycle, build some new muscle, etc., etc. You go into a strength cycle. So then when you're in the strength cycle, your lack of muscle isn't going to hold you back. And then obviously you do the strength cycle, and then in the strength cycle, you build your strength. And then when you go into the peaking block, it's not your strength that's going to hold you back from peaking the best. So obviously in your strength cycle, are you going to be as fit as you were in your cardio or conditioning cycle? No, but it doesn't matter. So this is like, for me, what I'm doing now after comp. So I went through a peaking cycle, got like as strong as I thought I could, peaked. Now I'm just doing reps. I'm literally, except for like a couple of exercises, I'm not hitting anything under 10 reps. Everything's 10, 12, 15, 20, 25. Because I'm just getting my work capacity up, shedding some fat. I don't like, I benched 230 at comp. Even minus the injury, could I bench 230 now? Hell no. I'll probably get pinned by 215. I don't care. It's not what I'm not aiming to be 1 rep max strong right now. Same with the deadlifts. I pulled 300 for 8 the other day. Could I pull 370 tomorrow? Probably not. But I'd probably 350 wouldn't leave the ground. But that's not what I'm aiming for right now. So that's one of the big things with periodization. Of
executing the perfect rep.
Yep.
And so if you haven't at some point in your journey towards that competition done some volume training on those key core lifts where you're pushing, like I still do high rep training on my legs now. I'll do 20 rep sets and so on, and it's about execution. Paused reps, or I still box squat, and I think that's a key one, especially when you're starting with novice athletes, is to get them to sit back and push off on the heels, is to do a period of box squats, and then there's some management around equipment. I've had people come to me and say, George, I want to try knee wraps, and I say, well, how close is your competition? I'm about 4 weeks out, so no, I probably wouldn't put a knee wrap on. I just train the way you are, because it's a different kind of squat.
Yeah,
so
100%.
So there's all these different variables, but yeah, you can't go past good experience, and so it is a sport of the perfect rep, and if you're in a hurry just to always peak and you think that's going to make you strong, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Peaking's showcasing what you've built over the last 6 months, 12 months. The peaking's just showcasing it. The actual work is in the reps. Like people always, oh sweet, I'm doing powerlifting, I can eat whatever the fuck I want and I can just max out all the time, and they'll last about 6 months, maybe a year if if they have good recovery, but then they're gone. I've overtaken a lot of people. I've been doing powerlifting for 10 years now. I've overtaken a lot of people that were stronger than me 8 years ago, and I've absolutely blasted past their lifts because I've just done the boring shit the longest. That's literally what powerlifting is. It's a game of, like Geordie said, the perfect rep. So you just want to do the boring shit the longest without getting injured. That's what powerlifting is. Who can, and if you want to take something to the next level, well, you got to sacrifice a little bit more. So that's when like the nutrition side of thing comes in. Like, okay, so you can get like okay at powerlifting with no nutrition. That's the thing. You can get quite good at powerlifting with very little thought to nutrition. But if you want to get really good, all right, you've got to actually start eating properly. And if you want to get really good, all right, well, you've got to get a coach. If you want to get really, really, really good, all right, go to the right gym. Like you've got to, as you progress through the levels, you've got to just, you've slowly got to sacrifice more and more. I mean, I've said, people have been like, oh, let's go out. I'm like, no, I've got a heavy squat in the morning. Sorry, not going out. Like honestly, I'll say no to going out, or I'll say, like for me, for a comp prep, I don't go out. I don't drink. I don't do anything. I'm boring, but that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing now. I've done the boring shit for a very long time.
You still not go out?
I went out last night. I'm feeling a wee bit dusty right now, to be fair.
Good on you. You've done the hard yards, man, in your comp, so you can relax a bit now, eh?
Yeah. But that's one of those things. Yeah. It's the same as any elite sport, I would say.
100%. Yeah.
We just happen to have picked this one.
Right. I don't know. What else is there to cover for a beginner? What have we missed?
few rules. I would say always do your accessories. Don't think because you're powerlifting just so you can squat, bench, and deadlift.
Yeah, let's go through Jackson's top 10. Top 10.
Don't give me 10. Oh God! All right, no, fine. That's right. Come on. All right.
Top 10 non-negotiables.
All right.
Get as high as you can.
Yeah, do your accessories.
All right. No, what the hell's an accessory? I'm brand new to the sport.
All right. So anything other than squat, bench, or deadlift.
Okay. And why would I do that?
Well, so you can fill in the gaps that's left behind by the three main movements. Do some back work, do some biceps, do some triceps, do some shoulders. Look after your little muscles. You know, you want to get, and again, muscle moves weight, so you want to get jacked. That's again a non-negotiable. Get jacked.
So make sure you program your coach and put some accessory movements into your programming now.
Yeah, I would like until you get to a certain level. Like, I mean, you look at say someone like Andrei Milanichev in a squat workout. All he does is squat. But that's all he has to do because he's perfected it. That's it. He just works to a top set or his top sets of whatever. That's all he does. Same with Yuri. That's all they do. But they're at that elite level. Don't look at the elite lifters. Actually, this is another rule. Here you go. Instagram versus real life, I suppose. Don't look at the elite lifters and try and do what they do.
No.
Look at what they were doing 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
So yeah, Russian is probably a poor example for a novice too, because I mean that's all they do for a living. You know.
Yep.
I do recall Wayne Howlett saying something about how you'd spoken to Andre about how to build more power in his deadlift, and Andre's advice was just do as much of a thick back breaking workout as you can. So not just deadlifts, he said build thick muscle on your back and your deadlift will improve. But you never underestimate the relationship between what the squat can do for your deadlift and what the deadlift does for your squat, and being able to anchor your core, So he just said build a thick back and your deadlift will grow.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there was a video going around at some stage. I saw a video of Andre doing pull-ups at like 150.
Yeah.
It's, just do your accessories. It's not hard. I mean, like, so, I don't know, I put up a video. People always take the piss out of me, but I just tested out the other day. I can still do a set of 20 pull-ups.
Wow, can you?
Yeah, I did it quite comfortably the other day.
That's just good, man. I can't.
Just because it's what, I mean, for me, I worked really hard at them when I was younger, but like having those non-squat, bench, deadlift movements where you can just check how strong you are, is key. I would have thought, I think, because they say for a deadlift, if you don't do bicep curls and then your grip sucks, you're going to drop your deadlifts because grip's directly related to how big you work. One of the main correlations is how big are your biceps and your forearms. And then also if you do a mixed grip and you haven't done any biceps and that bicep tendon's exposed, it's much, much more likely to pop. So the accessories do a lot for the main lifts, in my opinion.
Okay. So that's two rules there. So accessories, Instagram is not real life.
Yep. Well, don't look at. Well, I mean, you can split the Instagram thing into two, I suppose, because you don't look at the top guys for one, and also Instagram's a highlight reel. I mean, I put up any training sessions. I mean, leading up to comp, I put up a deadlift miss that I had in training because I treat it as a training log. But people always put up their best sets. You've got no idea how the rest of their training's going. And a lot of those guys that post heavy lifts on Instagram all the time, well, that lift could be 3 weeks old. They just haven't posted it yet. So he could still be doing like volume training this week when that heavy lift was from his training cycle 3 weeks ago. So and he's just saved it for content because that's what people do. It's a business for them. So they're going to try and reach the biggest audience all the time.
Yep. You got 8 more?
8 more. Fuck, great word.
Okay, Geordie, you want to jump in?
Jump in for a couple, Geordie.
Third one critical is mobility. So
good call.
You need to know how to use a foam roller. You need to know how to stretch, how to use a cricket ball or a hockey ball sometimes. And that's about making sure that the tendons and everything sort of work in unison with the rest of the body. So actually a quick link that I often give my clients to look at is Sean Ballon does a demonstration on YouTube. He's a powerlifter in the States, and it's really good how he does it. But there you go. He's got his tool.
Shameless plug. Massage gun.
Gun. What brand is that one, mate?
It's Konya Performance, actually. It's Byron Konya in Wellington.
Okay. Yeah.
He sells them online. fantastic.
Sponsorship opportunity there, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say, hit me up.
New Zealand number one powerlifting broadcast.
_builder.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sean Ballin, and Google Sean Ballin Agile 8, and it'll show Agile 8 is a very, very core sort of mobility program that's been around.
Actually, I've heard of that one name. Yep.
Yeah, it's designed to help you open your hips a little bit more in the squat, and obviously avoid injury. So it's good.
That's good, eh? Okay.
There was another guy, Kelly Starrett. He does mobility WOD.
Yeah.
And I think WOD Life now as well. It's targeted for CrossFit, obviously, but very, very good. And it's about 5-8 minutes before you squat. It's great.
Yeah,
perfect. 5 or 6 hip stretches, couple of shoulder stretches. You're good to go. Jump under a bar, no issues.
Yeah.
Also key too, if you've got a foam roller, to make sure it's firm enough. So it got to the point where I'd just be using a piece of PVC because it's not easier for me to get into the muscle. But for most people, like a foam roller, after I'd roll the ones in the gym, I'd make sure I get quite firm ones because after 2 weeks they start to look a little bit oblong. So you get a good quality one that doesn't give too much. It's got a nice acoustic insert perhaps, and it's got some foam around the outside of it. So.
Okay, that's good. Good advice. Conditioning, accessory work, Instagram. What else? Hydration's
the key to everything. The number one performance inhibitor for most athletes in any sport is dehydration. So, and knowing how much water to take in, as a minimum for everyone I start off with, is if I'm doing a 5 ml meal program with them, or 6 ml, whatever it is, take 2 glasses of water with the meal because it makes it feel efficient. But so you're going to get on 6 meals, you're going to get 2 glasses, which is essentially 3 liters of water. And then you take a liter of water while you train. So there's 4 liters. And most people go, really? You've got to have 4 liters of water. But yeah, actually, everything relies on it. Your brain function, if you're taking supplements and you're not drinking 3 or 4 liters of water a day, you're just wasting your money.
Yeah. So there you go, Greek, the reminder. The reminder.
I know you made me feel thirsty talking about this water, man. 4 liters. I'm like, oh shit, I haven't had 4 liters this week. Yeah, no, I'm feeling bad now.
So hydration definitely a key factor in your training. So.
Yeah, I would add to that again. Then next one will be sleep.
Sleep,
especially for powerlifting, because powerlifting is very nervous system heavy. Obviously, it's very nervous system dependent. So sleep, get as much as you can. I mean, I lost count of the amount of times people have come in, they're warming up and they feel like absolute dog shit. And I'm like, well, how long did you sleep last night? Oh, 4 hours.
Wow.
Or how did you expect to come in and max your squat after sleeping for 4 hours? I actually found that with this last comp prep. That was one of the big things that I did. I tried to make sure that I was in bed and getting at least 7, usually 8 hours sleep a night. And I felt a world of difference, to be honest.
Yeah, mine need 8 personally.
Yeah, I've that seems to be my sort of spot as well now. It's like that 7 to 8. The missus fucking can go 12 hours. I wish I could, but I can't sleep in. I'm up so I have to be really I don't know what you call it, but really strict on when I go to bed, because I'll wake up at the same time every day. So I have to be real disciplined on what time I go to bed, because I'm going to wake up at the same time the next morning.
Yeah,
so
that's the same.
Yeah,
you get like that when you get older.
Yeah, so I can't
now.
Yeah, dude, honestly, bit of mileage on the old rig, isn't it? Shit.
I know, eh? Is that a must? You must see it.
Hey?
That must.
Almost. Yeah. Can I?
Yeah, you can.
God,
that'd
be nice. That'd be nice. A few lower records.
Geordie, sleep important.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've got quite an active mind, so it's very rare for me to be asleep before midnight anyway. But I'm often up. If I'm training someone early mornings, it's 6 o'clock start for me. So I just manage it and get through it. Sometimes I'm fortunate and blessed to be in a position where I can have a 1 or 2 hour sleep in the middle of the day.
A nap. I love the nap.
I had a nap today in the sun. Yeah,
there you go.
Good. Probably shows.
There you go.
Yeah, a little bit red, but hey, yeah.
But yeah, and that kind of works for me. So there's probably a little bit of benefit, probably more benefit, I think, in how your natural hormone balance happens around having a nap in the middle of the day.
Now let's talk briefly about nutrition again, because Jackson's been through a bottle of Pepsi and now he's onto some sort of concoction.
No, this is purely just water. I just use it as a drink bottle, so you can even see through it.
Oh, it's just okay. And
I just use that as water, but this is Pepsi Max Raspberry, mate. Again, hit me up at beast_builder. Pepsi. A shameless plug. I've got the cupboard full, man. Pepsi Max Raspberry, vanilla,
You got the whole
straight
thing.
Pepsi Max, Sprite Zero, Diet Lift, Diet Fanta.
Do I need to
I'm
drink
your
a
man.
bottle of Pepsi before a workout?
What? No.
No.
Oh, not. I mean, if you want to get your bloat on, then why not? Go
Yeah.
find some Chinese and a bottle of Pepsi, and you'll be right.
Do I need a pre-workout, or can I? What's the secret, Geordie?
I think it's individual. I think if I was going to say anything, is have some sugar in your bag for during the workout, because if you're halfway through a leg session and you've just gone through your squat and you've still got some auxiliaries to get through, you need some glucose and you need an insulin spike to help you get through that. So it's not uncommon to find airplanes or Mars bars in the training bag. So.
I personally I drink Replace while I'm training by Hawley's. It's a carb and electrolyte mix.
Yeah,
so
cool.
it's obviously people will drink Powerade and shit, but Powerade's only got sodium and potassium. It's missing the magnesium and the calcium. Whereas something like electrolyte, or I think there's another one called Pure. They have a nice little dose of carbs and then all 4 electrolytes during training, which is because obviously you lose a lot of electrolytes when you sweat. So again, that's very individual. Like for me, when if I'm training hard, I'll sweat quite a bit. So I know that I've got to replace those electrolytes because there's nothing worse than hamstring cramp or etc. You know, and to be fair, the thing is that if you're just drinking water with no electrolytes, you're actually dehydrating yourself more because your body has to flush that out, and to get rid of it, it takes out more salts and more. So when they say, "Oh, you should try and pee clear during the day," no way, no, because you're dehydrated. You're dehydrating yourself. You need I'm always saying to people, actually, this is another, here you go, rule number, whatever we're up to, salt your meals, salt your food.
Oh, yeah, love a bit of salt.
Salt your food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a good point, because actually most people I find when I'm programming, I'll go through what they've actually eaten and they've underdone it. So that's very easy to underdo it. You know, because a lot of the foods these days are people moving more towards cleaner ways of eating. They're not adding necessarily sodium to it. So.
Yeah, no, salt.
A good pink salt, you know, something that's got the minerals still in it, as opposed to the iodized one.
Yep.
Yeah, no, because that's a big one. I find, and because it's just the public perception of it though. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm drinking water, I'm hydrated. I peed clear before," and it's like, well, no, actually, hang on, you've gone over the other end of the mountain, really. You know, if your performance is like this, you're sort of over here instead of at your peak. But so salting everything, good carbs and stuff. Like for me, I probably eat my pre-training meal, I would say an hour and a half before training. I would finish eating, ideally. Just because I don't like feeling like bloated or heavy while I'm training. Yep. But yeah, that's a personal preference. Some people can eat. I mean, I've trained with Jamie, and I mean he came into the gym eating a fucking kebab, a triple meat kebab, and got straight under a squat bar. And I was like, all right, mate, all good.
Yeah.
But he just, so it's personal preference. It depends on the person.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I was at a comp and Ruben Samanu had gone to McDonald's in the morning to load up on cheeseburgers. I think he had something like that, said he bought $58 worth of McDonald's.
I think I remember that.
Before you were there. Before he did the event. And I was amazed. He's 150 kilo, 55 kilos, I think, on the day, but he had this massive feed of McDonald's before he even kicked off.
Nice.
It helped sink that squat. What did he end up squatting on the day? It was 300 and something, wasn't it?
380, wasn't it? Or
I want to say
something.
Between 350 and 380. Yeah, it was mammoth. Yeah. Well, of course,
ridiculous.
We'd never seen anything like that ever before.
Yeah, back then it was unheard of. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the most anyone was squatting in the gym at the time was maybe 250, I think, like that. So that was, and obviously
it's just an impressively composed lifter on the platform is amazing.
So let's finish it off. I think we'll stick with five tips for now. We can
I mean that's 5.
That's pretty good, eh? Yeah, it's pretty good.
I mean that's a good initial thing. And to be fair, actually, nutrition-wise for your first comp, don't listen to anyone else. Find foods that work for you. People can eat different stuff. Some people don't eat during the day. Some people eat more food. For me, on a comp day personally, people look at me funny, but I just sit there and eat like muffins because I find that I can eat that and then go and lift straight away. because on the day, personally, if on the day protein's not your main, you don't need protein on the day. If you haven't got enough protein by the time you get to comp day, you're stuffed. You know, you need protein the few days, like obviously beforehand to recover from everything. Protein on a comp day isn't what you need. You need carbs and salt and hydration. That's your key on the day. Carbs, salt, and hydration. People are like, oh, I need these protein bars and I need this shake and I need 400 grams of steak. And why? Because you're not going to digest it until that night.
Lucozade, plain rice, chocolate malt, you know, whatever
100%.
you need.
Yeah, whatever you digest well and can lift well off, then happy days. Go for it.
Fancy. Let's touch on just briefly before we wrap up. Do I need my BCAAs, Jackson?
No, fuck off. BCAAs are horse shit.
Yeah.
Anyone that comes to me and is drinking those, I tip them out. I'm like, no, yeah, okay. If it tastes nice, give me some. You know, like if it tastes nice, but it's just raro, man. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
You get enough. There's been enough studies now that people should know that they don't do anything. They literally don't do anything on top of it.
What about my creatine? Do I need my creatine?
Creatine's tried and tested, proven. Yep. Creatine, caffeine, that sort of stuff works.
Yep.
But personally, for me, all I would do supplement-wise, so in the morning with breakfast, I have Animal Pack. If you guys know it, if people listening know what that is, it's basically just a really broad spectrum multivitamin that comes in a little pack, and it's got 11 tablets. And it's got digestive enzymes, adaptogens, minerals, vitamins, pretty much everything you should need. I just hit it with I just have that because it's basically like a shotgun blast, cover all the bases, because then I don't really need to stress about it. So I have that. I have 8 grams of fish oil, 5,000 IUs of vitamin D, which is very underutilized by most people, I think. Everyone should get vitamin D. It's cheap as chips, and the pills are tiny, so don't give me that shit that you can't take pills. Vitamin D, massive for anyone.
Yep.
And I have 3,000 mg of vitamin C. That's my morning routine usually.
So it sounds fairly similar to mine, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just reminded me. I haven't done fish oil in a few weeks, so I need to get back on the fish oil bandwagon, I think.
There you go.
Geordie, what do you think, mate?
Supplements. Keep it simple.
I think it's sort of, you've got to pick what's right for you. I definitely have vitamin C at the moment. It's something that's regular. It's good for your hydration level, keeps your metabolism in check as well. But you know, like you could get quite technical as you go up, but I don't recommend BCAAs. If someone comes to me and says, you know, from bang for buck towards, you know, what supplements should I be taking? The first thing I generally will start with is, depending on what they're doing, is whey protein's a good place to start. And that's because most people don't have enough protein in their diet, and I use it as a meal replacement. So it could be a segmented, like a snack meal or something like that. It's never a master meal, and it just saves time. So you know, I know that the textbook, when you go through and you do your nutrition qualifications, the textbook will tell you that you can get everything you need from food. Who's got that time? When you're an athlete, you eat more, and you need to eat more regularly, right? So who's got the time to do that every day? So you know, you'll hear every now and then like a dietitian that's clinically trained come out and say, look, you know, they're all doing it wrong, and yet actually scientifically probably correct. But whey protein is actually a byproduct of the process of milk anyway, and it's just basically, it's a food.
That's why I didn't mention whey protein. Sorry, because to me I treat it as a food. Protein powder is a food. It's not a supplement. You can add it in.
Staple in my diet.
If you're eating chicken breast, if you're eating steak in your diet, and if you have things like whey protein or egg whites, you're getting enough amino acids. So the whole point of BCAAs is they open the pathways basically for you to be able to activate the rest of the amino chain. But you get all that anyway in the meat you eat. And I know that some people swear by BCAAs, but like Jason says, the science just isn't conclusive.
It doesn't support them at all. They just it was one study, a couple of studies back in the day, and it was another way for supplement companies to make money. Really,
there is essential amino supplements you get for the full spectrum.
Essential amino acids, that's a different story. That's great for vegetarians or vegans, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But BCAA is different.
All right. Well, we're gonna survive on the sponsorship from Pepsi and Hawley's. I think from Jackson.
I'll let you know when the email comes through, mate.
Yeah,
My phone just dinged.
Yeah, obviously you just fucked up our supplement sponsorship there. So
no, fuck it. We'll still get protein powder. It's okay.
Protein powder, eh? All right.
Yeah. Oh, we've already got Barocca, bro.
What more do you want? Barocca, eh? Yeah, from Crusher.
Oh, Bayer. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Is there anything else we've missed?
I just want to do a quick shout out, and it's the IPO most had a competition this weekend. But there was a 262.5 kilo bench press this week.
I saw that. Honestly, how good.
I thought maybe it was in a single play shirt, but no, that was raw, wasn't it? Yeah,
raw dog.
Yeah.
Let me attempt the name correctly. It's Maatei Warangi. Hitamaris is his name, and if you've got to have a look online at the moment, you'll see that bench press. It's incredible. And just watching Matt's journey through to that is, he's had some failures and some attempts, along the way, but he's truly dedicated to it. And what an amazing athlete.
He's come from arm wrestling, hasn't he?
He's the New Zealand champion, and I believe he's had a world title as well. So, but when you stand next to him, he's one of these immensely big, thick people. He's a solid mass, but such a humble and wonderful person. So I really just wanted to make a point that is the biggest world bench press on New Zealand soil, and he nailed it this weekend in New Plymouth. It's fantastic.
Nice.
Huge. Yeah, I saw that.
Big shout out to all the athletes who competed in the IPL meet in New Plymouth, and a shout out to the athletes that competed in the novice event that I was at yesterday here in Auckland, New Zealand. It's great to see it's great to see the young talent coming through, a lot of first timers, and that joy on their face when they hit all three lifts or even one lift and they get a PB. That for me is what makes powerlifting so special. That absolute elation on people's faces.
Credit to Josh too, because the competition, the way he presents that competition is fantastic, and there's bound to be some really cool footage and promo come out on the back of that, and Josh does a fantastic job.
I think he sold out in 23 hours or something.
Yeah, sold out straight away. Yeah. So well done to Dan and the team, IPL, and Josh and the team for proving grounds yesterday.
That IPL meet, they actually took it down to Taranaki, didn't they?
Oh, was it? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it was in New Plymouth.
Yeah, New Plymouth. Yeah, New Plymouth.
Yeah, it's cool to. I reckon it's cool to have the event shifting around the country. Getting the word out to.
Alan Kissick is based down there, and he's
right.
I know he's a keen supporter for IPL down there, and tremendous amount of experience. Like if you want to find someone that knows single and double ply lifting, Alan Kissick is someone that you probably want to have a chat to. Knows tremendous amount of knowledge and competition experience.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys, we'll leave it at that.
So what's the final verdict for getting into powerlifting? Just have a bash and do it.
Just have a bash, yeah.
Get in and do it. Yep.
Geordie, what's your final word on powerlifting, getting into it?
Yeah, do it safe. Make sure you walk out of the place on a stretcher.
Yeah, I think we probably should have held off on the old story, Maybe.
Yeah, it scares people off.
Yeah, exactly.
But seriously, just get in and have a go. And that story I told you about Gay Howe is 100% true. She'll be lifting again, hopefully at the push pull coming up for GBC. And then we'll be looking at the calendar to see what fits in with her. So,
nice. And I think that's actually a good point. Is to, if you're a brand new lifter, you've never seen a comp before, go and watch a
go and have a look.
99% of the time, or in New Zealand maybe 100%, they're free for spectators. So jump in and just see what it's all about. Just sit back and enjoy the atmosphere.
You see the range of ages, male, female. Range of body types.
A 14-year-old.
Anyone can do powerlifting. We had, is it Ryan? Is it Andrew's son, Ryan?
Yeah, with Ryan, 13.
13. He's 13. Yeah, he did 13, nationals. Deadlift.
It's a 14-year-old yesterday. He deadlifted 160. 14 years old. It's amazing.
What?
Oh no, crazy,
Crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then
That's
obviously
mad.
you've got Geordie's client Gail at 65. So and I know they go up to 70 and even 80. I've seen 80.
Yeah, all at the same comp.
So in terms of accessibility, you look at bodybuilding.
Christine Henwood lifted yesterday again. So
61.
She's how many times can a person peak? Well, here in Almo, I've got it down pat now. I think she's been a bit naughty. I think she'll laugh when she watches this because she told me she was going down to have a play with the bar down there. I said, "Oh, you're not peaking again, though, are you?" And she said, "No, I'll just take it easy."
I think
it was 90%. I'm not too
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
See, but again, that's the experience coming into it. She's doing a comp again, and then when she did regional, she didn't peak for it. She peaked for nationals where she needed to peak.
Yeah.
Mm.
And,
So
and she's at 90% in this one
sessions.
because she knows it's a gate opener for Anzacs, and that's what she really wants to work
Of
towards.
course.
Yeah.
Mm.
So even the top lifters aren't peaking 100% of the time. You can't. You know, that's one of the things that I think especially new people need to learn. Technique is key. Don't max out all the fucking time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cool. All right, let's leave it at that. Awesome episode. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Top team.